Hey, what is up everyone, Blade here, and welcome back to another video of Persona 5 The Phantom X. Inside today's video, guys, we're going to be talking about the two characters who are going to be coming to P5X very quickly, and the weirdness of it all, to be honest, because I knew one of them was coming in here thanks to achievements, and it made sense that the other would be right behind, but not this quickly. So we're going to go ahead and talk about this a little bit more, and then at the end of it, we're actually going to talk more about one of the characters, seeing that, hey, I haven't really talked about them at all. So without further ado, let's get into it. So we're looking at, obviously, Summer Marian. Summer Marian here was one of the few characters I've been covering the last few days, which honestly, this was expected. We knew that she was going to be coming around here, and that her achievement was in game. We got her synergy recently, so it only made sense. This, in knowledge of everything here, we knew that the summer event is getting moved up, and unfortunately our beloved character Barry, or many people's beloved character Barry, is getting moved back. This obviously did mean that Summer Puppet would be around the corner, but I was not expecting the announcement to be immediate. So this happened on the 8th, and apparently, which I didn't even know about, Summer Puppet was also introduced on the 8th. Now, this is kind of scary because, first of all, we had Miku, right? Not being a doomer, of course, until we know exactly, like, from the, what's called the live stream itself. So we have this on the 8th, and then immediately this was also shown on the 8th, which is Summer Puppet. Many of you guys, if you do not know who Summer Puppet is, obviously, we've met her before in the game multiple times here, but this is where I think she gets her synergy, because I don't believe we have our synergy currently. I have to think back to it. It's been a while since I've actually checked for her specifically, but this is where we should have her synergy, and she comes out during the summer update as well. Now, she is an insanely good follow-up character. She does a lot of good damage in general, and she's probably one of the more stronger, if not in the stronger category for the AoE DPSs, whether it's from just follow-ups, whether it's just in general. She does a little bit of everything. Excuse me for a second. Sorry, I'm still sick a little bit, but she does a little bit of everything, and that is the cool part with this unit. She's one of the few follow-up characters that legitimately was starting to like leave Akihiko in the dust, and this is where we had a major damage shift, because around this time we were still using Akihiko, we were still using RLD Rin, and the second this woman came out, she straight up said, no, I am top tier. And I won't even lie, it took everybody by storm, because we knew she was going to be good. We just was not expecting the damage numbers to skyrocket as high as they did, and she proved everyone wrong. So Summer Puppet also got announced, which is kind of weird because I have two opinions on this. And at first I was like, maybe it's just a one-off thing, but then they started showing both of them being the Beach Flower Minami, as well as her new name, Wave Catcher Miyu. Now, this is fairly interesting because I was not expecting that at all. It says in version 4.5, and then it says in version 4.6. Now, they could just be announcing them both, which honestly, that's perfectly fine. That would be like 2 weeks of both characters. But the weird part is they normally wouldn't announce the second character this quickly. And the reason why I'm thinking about this here, and some of you guys could probably say I'm reading too far into it. Hell, I hope I am reading too far into it. But the last characters that they did this for very quickly was for Akihiko and Yukari, in which it was insanely fast. It was like 1 week we had one character, and the next week we had the next character. Now, we don't know if this is going to be a for sure thing for Minami and I almost said Summer Muppet. Oh my god, and Summer Puppet here. But both of these characters will be most likely, of course, shown in the stream, because why would you, of course, show any of the characters or the secondary character too much if you're not planning on releasing them very, very soon, right? Usually they try to like avoid showing multiple characters at once. They try to at least do their one character, and then once it gets closer, they talk about the other character a little bit more. But recently, they have been showing off multiple characters. I think we saw it with, of course, what's it called? Kasumi, as well as Akechi. They did it for Rin and Matoi, in which those had normal timelines. They were just moved around, but they had normal timelines. Now, I'm hoping this is kind of the same way, where it's going to be a normal timeline itself, but I am still kind of scarred with Yukari and Akihiko being that 1 week. So hopefully we don't have anything like that happen as soon, or at least again. So I'm just hoping they're just early announcing these characters just back to back, but only time will tell until we see the stream timing. But going away from this here, since we know that now Dream Chaser Puppet, or I'm probably going to call her Summer Puppet, just like Summer to me. But since we do know Dream Chasing Puppet here is coming out, I want to go ahead and talk about her. So we're going to go ahead and look at lafel.net. You guys already know of this website very, very darn well here, in which this website has everything that you really need. Now, Summer Puppet, or Wave Chasing, Dream Chasing, bro, I'm not going to get that name right, I promise you. She is really good, as I was saying. Pretty much every last time you get a follow-up, she gets stronger at the end of the ally's turn. She does a lot of her damage with her skill 2, which resets on stacks. And she's an SP recovery character. Now, this is the second character that does require SP recovery. And it's very interesting because you don't really get more, or at least most of these type things here, when it does come down to at least Puppet herself, or come down to most characters. Most characters really don't care about their SP, so seeing a character that genuinely wants SP recovery as a main stat, that genuinely uses it as a main part of her being, is very interesting. She does have her special awarenesses, and as well as the amounts that you do need on said character. Luckily, lafel.net actually breaks this up, because this was one of the few things that required a lot of calculating at time. And as they said, her main con is you need to pay attention to your SP values, and that is very true. The character herself can do whatever she wants. She can honestly deal a ton of damage, which is very good for her. It's just saddening that the character herself, if you do want to fine tune her, you gotta really fine tune her, which is interesting. But she's a cool character. Just like any other DPS, you're usually building with crit damage, pierce rate, crit rate, attack, damage multi. Only different thing is she does want the SP recovery, so that has to force its way into the character itself. But when it comes down to the character, she's fairly simple. As you see, she has the 3-2 rotation, nothing too crazy here. It only changes as long as you have like Anj, and that's about it. But other than this, she does a little bit of everything. So she can inflict freezes, which honestly versus boss mobs doesn't really mean much, but it is pretty darn nice. But the one things that we want to look at is her 3 and 2. Her 3 pretty much gives her this little domain expansion. It's called Ocean Domain here. And this is allowing her to pretty much ride the surfboard that she has here. And now she can just sit here and just automatically hit people, right? She's always going to be doing a counter to an extent, or a follow-up to an extent, which will make her deal more and more damage. Now, this is going to be based on her SP that she does have. She's going to use a certain bit of it. And of course, she gets a certain percentage of her attack to hit the foe. And these stacks keep building up, whether it's for skill damage and such here, and it just allows her to be a major problem. The only downside is, one, you can't actually weapon attack with her. You can't melee attack, you can't gun attack, can't use an item, and you cannot deal down point damages. So she's a little bit of a character that does have some, downsides to it, but I guess for some people, once you start getting her ready, you really don't have to worry about too much. But the skill 2, which is one of her harder hitting at least moves here, or the hardest one. This is usually what you want to do at the end of your rotations. Usually, you would end up popping this skill, and it does a decent bit of damage. All those stacks that you had, it increases the skill damage that you didn't need on this skill, and then you will end up exiting the Ocean's Domain. So Ocean Domain, you only stay in for a little while, and then once you use this skill, it pretty much takes all those stacks that you got up, uses them to make a really huge burst of damage, and then you get out of it. And then the next turn, you're just going to get back into it anyway. So, I mean, it's going to help you out. But pretty much, whenever this is active, you're also getting bonus ice damage. You're doing more damage in general. She increases her damage with her passives for being by 30%. And everything is based on the SP recovery. So, like, quite literally, this character thrives off of SP recovery, and she will deal a ton of damage alongside of it. Now, she hasn't had a mental image yet inside of TWKR, so I do believe they're probably going to end up buffing her, at least on the global end, and they're going to make her even more strong. I'm not going to lie to you, because now we have some characters who are a little bit stronger than her, but I'm not going to lie to you. Even with that in mind, she is very strong. So we're going to take a look at some of our awareness. The one that you really want to pay attention to is going to be the skill 1, or A1. in which we're going to talk about the A1 and the A2, and then afterwards we'll just go ahead and keep moving. But for the A0, what she's able to do is she gets on her surfboard during her open domain, spends a certain amount of SP while dealing foes. She increases her max SP to 200, and then at the start of the battle, every time her SP is, well, she sets it to 0 here, but at the start of each action, she gains a certain amount of SP. This is where your teammates come in handy. As long as you're able to get your SP on back here, her SP gauges gives her certain things. So 100 SP restored, 10% attack, 200 SP, 10% damage, 300 SP, 12% crit rate, and 400 SP, 24% crit damage. This is what makes her insanely good, because the buffs that she can just outright get just based on her SP amount at A0. Now, this is not anything. There's no gimmicks to it, really. The only thing you have to do is pay attention to your SP value, which honestly, it sounds like a hassle, but it honestly isn't that bad either. If once you get used to it, it's pretty easy. Just like kind of we do our calculations for crit damage and crit rate, you'll be kind of used to doing it for her for SP. So, I mean, like, it's not as bad as people are making it out to be. Now, the A1, this is very important. For anyone who wants to go for this character, she works perfectly at A0, R0. In fact, she's one of the few characters that I do say does not need to have the A1, but the A1 itself is insanely good. If you're a person who's being a little bit competitive, you might want to go for this, because not only does it decrease the SP cost for title surge, which is very important here, by 40%, but it increases her maximum number of her stacks that she can get, meaning she's able to, of course, not only hold more SP, but also deal more damage, which is going to be incredibly nice. Now, alongside of this, Miyu then opens her ocean domain immediately, meaning her turn is now not only extended, but you don't have to open that. So meaning, once we use the skill 3, right? If you have that A1, yeah, you can still use it, but she's automatically going to use it too. So you don't have to worry too much about the ocean domain itself. Ocean domain is immediately going to be up. And once again, the ocean domain itself, what it's allowing you to do is you gain nullification to downs. You're able to obviously not hit any of these here, but you're also able to start doing your just counters, which is going to be insanely nice, or follow-ups, helping you deal a lot more of that good old damage. So this is good because it helps you out with the extended turns, which is insanely great for some of your buffs. And then, of course, it helps you out with getting some of that extra damage, which is very, very nice if you're a person who's doing like anything ranking wise. Now, if you want to take that next step, of course, the A2 is very good as well, in which this one, whenever she's in her ocean domain, which is going to be 100% of the time of the game, or at least 95% of the time of the game here, she's now able to gain 20% crit damage, which is very scary. That 20% crit damage can honestly mean life or death to a goddamn boss or a mob. And then after she uses Tidal Surge 4 times, she then will use a special Tidal Surge. This Tidal Surge doesn't use any of her SP, and she grants 1,000 waves, meaning her stack is back, meaning she's going to deal a lot more damage anyways in the long run. So once again, A2 is pretty darn good. You get a 20% crit damage out of it, and you're overall just helping your entire kit. Now, I don't really talk much about the A6 or anything like this because I don't know much on the A6, so you guys can go ahead and read that or pause it right here if you want to. I would just say if you're being ultra competitive, this is the highest you would go. If you want to be semi-competitive, get the A1. If you just don't care and just want the character, heck, if you just feel like 7 stars more than enough, A0, R0, perfect. That character's perfect for this, and she's insanely good. But weapon, pretty darn good out of this, has crit damage as well as follow-up for her critical rate, which is insanely great. And then whenever you're spending your SP, you do increase your skill damage. This is a very good weapon, and it does help out our kit immensely. So, I mean, like, I would say if you're going to go for the character, go for the weapon. But that's honestly up to you still at the end of the day. I don't dictate what's on your account. It is your account after all, so do what you want to do. Then we have, of course, the personas. This is where my boy Jeff the LANDSHARK is going to come into the game. You're going to get him from an event, in which makes me so sad because, well, it doesn't make me sad. I always say it makes me so sad because the website wasn't loading, but website loaded here, in which Jeff the LANDSHARK is a really good character, pretty much. He's really good for different ice AoE DPSs or just ice DPSs himself there. So he's able to increase the damage taken as well, which is going to be great, and increase all your foes in ice damage taken. So he is going to be insanely nice if you're a person who wants to do ice damage. And I think that's going to be a persona that a lot of you guys are going to want to go for anyways here. So don't miss your chance on him. As for the teams that she does have down here, these are all teams that you could very well take advantage over. As you see, she can work with Fox as well in the future if you do want to use a double DPS comp. It works. I wouldn't say it's probably her best comp, but I have seen a lot of people use it before, and I've actually seen some people use it in the SOS. So I mean, like, it's pretty darn cool to actually see it. And to an extent, we finally will have another use for Win Tempest, because recently on the TW and KR side, she's slowly fading, but good part about it on global side is she's very prominent here, and S Marian will be just as prominent too. So both of these characters, or all these teams, are going to be very good for you guys to go ahead and look in, and I feel like it's going to be an awesome time. But overall, S Puppet is very interesting. I'm very surprised they announced her alongside of Marian. I guess it makes sense since it's both just summer related, but I hope I'm overthinking it and it's only like during their respective time periods. So the 2 week for both of them, and that's about it, and not a 1 week, because if it is a 1 week, I am very scared to see what's going to end up happening. But till then, everybody, thank you for watching the video, and peace on out.